Running short on time. We've got 2 more questions to get to. I'm going to limit responses after this to about 30 seconds each. And we have our next question. This one is on labor and management. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. I'm a North Dakotan, now out of Wilmer, Minnesota.
Not from Minot, are you?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Phew! I was going to have to bring you up in the ring here if you were. But
very close to Mott, the spot that God forgot. I own 4 businesses in Wilmer, Minnesota. One of them is the 3 Subway franchises. I know what it's like to make a payroll out of my savings account. And I'd like to ask our legislators a 2-part question. Will you support removing the automatic inflator in the state's minimum wage? And what are your thoughts on local governments setting their own minimum wages? Thank you.
Speaker Dowd, I know it's not a lot of time. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to answer the question on minimum
Sounds
wage.
good. I think the short answer is yes, we will consider that. I think what we need to do, though, to look at whether we should or not is this hurting Minnesota's economy? Number one, are there less job opportunities out there because we've raised the minimum wage? Yes, you're going to have a few people making more money, but are those businesses hiring less people at that level because of it? And if that's the case, yes, we got to look at it. Number 2, is this disproportionately hurting greater Minnesota? And if the answer to that question is yes, and the reason I'm asking these questions instead of making a statement is because this is pretty new, and I'm not sure we've seen the full impact of what this policy is going to do on jobs in Minnesota. So yes, I believe we need to look at it.
Possibly getting rid of the inflator.
Yes.
Okay. Representative Thiessen, your thoughts on should local governments be able to set their own minimum wage, or would that be unworkable?
Well, first, thank you to the gentleman who spoke. I've visited his Subways many times in Wilmer, so I appreciate that. No, I don't. I think that would cause even greater chaos around the state, and I don't know why we would break into some kind of having the same fight over and over and over again in every single municipality across the state. And just to be clear, I would not support getting rid of the inflator.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise.
I was pretty sure I knew your answer on that. You could probably knock this one out of the park pretty quickly as well. Senator Bach?
Well, we already have too much competition for economic development in neighboring communities where they're trying to cannibalize each other. But the notion of different minimum wages, I think you only need to go to Winona and look at the competition between Winona and La Crosse, between Hudson and Stillwater, between Duluth and Superior, where in Wisconsin the minimum wage is about $2.33 for a tipped employee. In Minnesota it's $8. And those Wisconsin businesses are really, really having a hard time maintaining a server population because those employees would rather work across the river in Minnesota where they can make $5 or $6 an hour more money. So I think the reality is, although it might have a nice ring to it, because I'm somebody who supports local control, creating that kind of competition between communities I don't think is healthy for the larger community, and certainly not healthy to economic development.
And you don't want to get rid of the inflator.
And where the Senate is not going to remove the minimum wage inflator.
Very quickly.
I support removing the automatic wage inflator. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think individual communities ought to have the power to raise minimum wages willy-nilly, but I also think we ought to look at some kind of tiered wage structure for people who work in restaurants.